Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. Welcome, comic fans, and most importantly, Phantom fans. This is Ghost War 38, and today I'm going to be bringing you a review slash overview of the Phantom Generations issue 4, The Skull and the Oath. Story by Will Murray and art by Sean Van Briesen. I hope I pronounced that last name right. Anyway, with that being said, let's get started. Unlike the previous three issues, this one doesn't really have a time period it takes place in. It just jumps right into the adventure. However, this is a story in the Chronicle of the Fourth Phantom because of a line that's said at the very beginning of the story, I am the fourth. I'll read a little bit here in the on the day I swore the oath of the skull as my ancestors before me, taking up the mask and mantle of my late and cherished father, the third phantom. I laid the skull that had started it all in a teakwood coffer chased with silver, and restored it to the honored place where it will repose until I do pass from this mortal coil and join my forebears in the great beyond. My unborn son do take it out and resume and consecrate the great chain of continuity that is the lot of all mortal walkers. I never thought to lay eyes upon it again. In that I was grievously mistaken. I am the fourth. And he goes into a little bit of an exposition here. Talks about what he's done during his time from as the Phantom. This is apparently not his first foray as the Phantom. He's been established for a little while already. The Bandar tribe is running all over. The Bandar Pygmies flood in all compasses. What means this? I demanded, catch one. They are driven. We are invaded. Men. The Singh Brotherhood pirates had come back. There's a picture of the fourth Phantom. Really nice artwork. He goes into a fight. Long I toiled at this task. Never did I spy the pirate who I later learned was named Rambar of the Singh Brotherhood, whose father and grandfather had been mortal enemies of my own father and grandfather, going back to the days of the first, my great-grandfather. Had I set eyes upon him, I would have known him for what he was, but I tell my story out of order. On it I saw the bad mark. Through the waterfall, your teakwood box. The bad mark was as I places a warning on the coffer that contained the skull of the first walker to fall. My blood ran cold. Without it, on what death's head would my descendants swear the oath of the skull? I hied to the catacombs where the first three phantoms lay in their eternal rest. The teakwood box was gone, stolen from its niche. So basically, his father, the skull of the man that all the phantoms swore their oaths upon, is gone. Then he talks about his journey to go find them, their leader, who is the mightiest of all, Ranbar, who stole from this jungle, Radmar, who has shown that the magic of the Phantom is no sorcery but trickery. Taking the box, he went on. Radmar first learned that of this box and what lies within from a dying pygmy. And then here inside is the skull of his grandfather, of Radmar's grandfather. Swore to me that the Phantom was not one man, but a procession of sons, each one following in the boots of his father. I long suspected as much. Why do you suspect this? My father fought the Phantom, and his father before him. My father swore that the Phantom who killed his father was shorter of stature than the Phantom he battled. Thus I knew, because the father of Ragnar did not lie. What's in the box? A skull on which each phantom swears to follow in the boot tracks of his father. It is part of their wicked ritual, and to avenge the defeats of the Singh Brotherhood by the Phantom's line. I take it away, thus depriving all future phantoms of their power. He opened the box and unlocked it. He dropped the box and scrambled to pick up the aged skull. For the tooth resembled the similar twisted tooth in the mouth of the skull that started it all. Grandfather. This is the skull of my grandfather who vanished a long time ago. Now I will swear an oath to slay the phantom of today, that avenged the murder of my grandfather, whose honorable skull this is. And of course, the phantom's duty is to never kill, so he shoots some of his men. The phantom, ghost who walks, man who cannot die, by my hand you will die. I, Radmar Singh, swear upon this skull of my illustrious grandfather Kabai Singh. I swear that my sons and their sons and all who follow the Singh path, and they swear to do so on the skull of the last phantom, your skull. I felt no shiver of fear in these words, mighty as they were. Radmar Singh was but a pirate. I was the fourth phantom. I would not die until my son was ready to wear my mask. But first I had to recover my property. And then he goes into some more about the conflict and the fight between between him and Radmar and his pirates. From my boot took a slim-thrown dagger, moonlight picked out upon the brass bands of this dragoon. I flung it. My aim was true. Caught his sleeve, pinning it to the tree. Nice throw. A voice called out, Phantom, 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 remember my oath to slay you. Ere long, I will have your naked skull. And Radmar, I had only to retain my own skull in order to reclaim the one of his possession. I had no conception then of how difficult that would be. And they talk more. Pirates are going in it back and forth about the Phantom. Phantom, let us parley. But their voices were too low. Finally, the voice of Radmar called anew. Phantom, listen to me. I will leave the box in this place. I and my band will withdraw to our ship and go forth in peace. I wish no war with you any more. I only desire to leave these accursed woods. Then do as you promised. Then the pirates busied themselves, and they began to retreat towards the water. I waited a suitable interval of time and approached with great care. The box lay closed. I grasped it and opened it wide. Inside, only darkness mocked me. So basically, he took the skull and ran. And left. Lead whistle around me. He was basically set up for an ambush. Acrid smoke sword held high. He has a sword fight with Radmar. Was smaller than I was, but no less wiry. All manner of tricks he did try. He sought to gut me. I turned to thrust. He attempted to hamstring. He described a sword fight. Neither man gave an inch. No quarter was shown or expected. Smoke filled the spaces around us. I could not see. My eyes stung and smarted. But so too did Radmar's. His lead ball sunk into a tree behind us. He tried to shoot the Phantom, but he missed. The night wore on, and as did the battle. I bathed my eyes and face in a cool pool of standing rainwater. When I could see, I considered my situation. He was a ferocious warrior. Too, he was motivated by familial passions. He was difficult to defeat, even battered as he was by the hard throws of the Phantom. I began to formulate a plan of which I could defeat him and regain the skull of Kabai Singh. And he goes on to fight. I like this picture here of the fourth Phantom when he has his guns crossed, because the Billy Zane Phantom, the 20th Phantom from the movie, he had that exact same pose. So I thought that was a little cool of visual recognition. He talks a little bit more about the Bandar tribe that did inhabit this area. They're soon in despair. They could not make out their speech. A raw sound convinced me of their horror. Utterly consumed by fright, I entered the devil's kettle. Again, he meets up with Radmar. I find it interesting how this illustration here of Radmar here, when he faces the Phantom, kind of reminds me of Tagawa and the pirate captain he played when he faced the 20th Phantom. Radmar held the skull of his grandfather close to his heaving breast. The skull of Kabai Singh smiled in a snaggle-toothed way familiar to me. He smiled not at all. Terror overtook his flat features when I last stood over him. Phantom, you trespassed. Now you are paying the price for your temerity. No ghost out of Shakespeare ever sounded more grim, more severe, for I had removed My cotton protection, said the face of the phantom, which some say is like unto a death's head, with a tissue of cold flesh, and others ever resembles that of a master-hooded executioner, could be made out. So basically, he took off the phantom took off his mask. I flicked it upright, catching it in my other hand. His throat. I saw it. He seized my boot and attempted to topple me. I fell, the precious skull clattering away into the impossible murkiness. Clawed and bit at my face and features, more wolf than man. Savage curses emerged from his throat, a faint foam snarling from his lips. My fist struck, blooding his nose, blackening one eye, but like a wounded animal he fought on. My brain pounded, my lungs labored. It was this courage or desperation that led him to this inhuman strength. I never knew. His fingers found my throat, and he pressed the advantage. I could feel the eternity yawning for me, like the gaping jaws of the skull, whichever we fought, upon which I swore the oath of the skull. I, the fourth phantom, who was without son or issue, trembled on the brink of becoming the final phantom, the last of my line. I forced my eyes open, his hoop earring jerking in his left ear. He grabbed it. His eyes were squeezed shut in exertion, and his lips were drawn back from his teeth. My hands were on his wrists, and he had the advantage of being on top. I would not prevail. I knew this. The sharp pain broke the spell, clutching his body and torn earlobe. So basically, he jerked his ear. The phantom jerked his ear. His ring, or he jerked his ear ring off his ear. Ugh. I broke his jaw with one upward punch. He slumped, and I threw him off, and this battle was over. In time, I would breathe again, but dawn my strength had returned. Soaking another sleeve, I braved Devil's Kettle and reclaimed the skull, which rolled into a sinister crevasse. Of Ramar Singh's two cutthroats there was no sign. Had the earth swallowed him, or the subterranean demons emerged to carry him off? As for me, I carried the well-traveled skull of Kabai Singh back to the abandoned box and placed it within, restoring it to its proper niche in the catacombs, and, so yeah, that's been about it. And at the end, but not before repeating the vows I took when I first laid eyes upon the relic of the long and bloody enmity of the Walker clan and the Singh Brotherhood, I swear to devote my life to the destruction of piracy, greed, cruelty, and injustice, and my sons and their sons shall follow me. And with that, that is how the issue ends. Basically, the Phantom's journey in to reclaim the skull and fighting the grandson of the man that the first Phantom fought. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys like this little look. It was probably a little bit longer and shorter, considering I was simultaneously reading a little bit and also showing the book at the same time. But fret not, I'm already prepped to be showing issue 5 for another video. I've already written the script and everything, so that'll be a little bit much smoother of a transition. But until next time, I will see you guys next time with another video. Take care. Have a good rest of your night. Comment below your favorite Phantom, if you have one. Did you ever read this series? Let me know. And until then, I will see you guys next time with another video. Take care. Have a good rest of your time. Morning, afternoon, or evening. And peace.